The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Some Sadducees came forward, the ones who claimed there is no resurrection. And Jesus said to them, "The children of this age marry and are given in marriage. But those judged worthy of a place in the age to come and of resurrection from the dead do not. They become like angels and are no longer liable to death. Sons of the resurrection, they are sons of God." Moses, in the passage about the bush, showed that the dead rise again when he called the Lord the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. All are alive for him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Let us all receive. Today is the 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time, and the second reading continues to quote from Thessalonians, which is the letter of St. Paul describing the approach of the end of the world. And St. Paul reminds us that during this time, we are going to be surrounded by confused and sinful men. If we are surrounded by such kinds of men, we might end up also confused and therefore committing sin. The first reading describes a mother with several sons, and they were called the Maccabees. And look at those children who were not afraid to leave their brothers and their mothers behind on earth as they were executed by the king. How come they did not mind leaving father, mother, brothers, and sisters? Because all of them would eventually go to heaven, where the relationship is going to be much better. On earth, relationships are only in the natural level. Husband and wives, just a natural relationship. Parents and children, brothers and sisters are just natural relationship. It is natural because we have human bodies. But when we die, we shall have souls, but those souls will be in glorified bodies. And therefore, as the Gospel says, though we will still remember in heaven that these are our parents, these are our children, we would not mind it. Because what is most important is that we are all children of God. And that is more important than knowing who are your parents, brothers, and sisters here in the world. And so the second reading reminds us to grow in faith, to be perfect and grow in faith. As long as we look at each other as husband, wife, parents, children, brothers and sisters, we are just in the natural level. We have to rise up to the supernatural level in which all of us are simply supposed to be brothers and sisters under God, our Father. In the spiritual life, the rule is, as St. Thomas of Aquinas tells us, we must progress. We must advance continuously. We must proceed towards perfect faith and charity continuously every day and every second. He who does not progress, does not become more perfect every day, will regress, will go down, down, and down. So if you are merely in the natural level and you do not progress, before you know it, you will be going down to the unnatural level. And that is precisely what is happening in the world today. Everybody, because they are not progressing towards the perfection of faith, are all in the unnatural level. So husbands and wives now commit adultery. That's unnatural. Sometimes parents or children towards their children have unnatural relationship. Grandparents and grandchildren having unnatural relationship. Men and men, women and women. Thus you have Sodom and Gomorrah, example of those who descended and went down to the unnatural level. So did you notice that as long as you are in the natural level, then you go down to the unnatural level by encouraging each other to disobey the commandments of Christ. In the natural level, at least, we must learn the commandments of Christ. In the spiritual level, we encourage each other to obey the commandments of Christ. But when you are in the natural level and you descend, you go down and down and down, notice that you encourage each other to disobey the commandments of Christ. And that is a very bad sign. And so we are reminded in the second reading to the Thessalonians that we are approaching the end times and you cannot die in the unnatural level because it is very, very difficult to rise up when you are in the unnatural level. You might run out of time. You might be overcome by the end times. You might die and therefore go to hell because you are in the unnatural level. And so St. Augustine precisely describes the Christian community as a community of angels. Why? Because we are all supposed to be in the supernatural level, meaning to say, when we look at each other, we see each other's souls. we do not concentrate on looking at the body, but on the souls, because as long as you benefit the soul, you will benefit the body also. If you benefit what is superior, the soul, you will automatically benefit what is inferior, the body. So you see, charity, which is the love of God and love for one another, is when you love God because He is a spiritual being. And so love of neighbor is when you love each other because you see each other as spiritual beings. And the moment you concentrate on the idea that these are my parents, these are my brothers, these are my sisters, you are just in the natural level and therefore are in danger of going down, down, and down to the unnatural level. That is why, as we see one another, concentrate in seeing that each one of us has a soul. And when we treat each other soul to soul. Just exactly like angels who treat each other soul to soul, spirit towards spirit. And that precisely is the description and should be the description of a Christian community or a monastic community. It is the life of angels. So if we are able to have faith, what will happen is when you look at one another, you see first and foremost that the other person has a soul that must be saved. And the moment we're able to do that, then we have begun our heavens here on earth, because heaven is precisely like that when we are all brothers and sisters, spiritual children of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. I believe in one God,
The Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of